ethe nqaxe uyisari waraka khwena qohana sehe xiba. Greetings to you people, all of you people that is listening. Once more, I have made a voice note giving proper lectures pertaining to terminologies that are often misinterpreted from our country and from various of historical context, that have give wrong messages in terms of terminologies and so forth. My primary focus would be on the term what is koi, what is koi, what is san, and what is koisang. There's so much mixed feelings in why today we're survived with these terminologies, as a result that today South Africans, in terms of trying to reach out in terms of the events that happened in the past, majority of our people, they always depend and have the propensity of trying to depend from your learning institutions, especially white learning institutions, because places such as universities, they think they are going to redeem any form of knowledge regarding who they are. And so much so good that unfortunately universities can only give about 5% of what you're looking for, and the majority that you would be seeking for is for you to seek amongst people of that kind in order to give you a proper information of what is what. A majority of us in this country, including myself, we come from indigenous families, and we're coming from backgrounds that are associated with indigenous progenyhood. And much I don't want to talk about my side of the family, but I want to give a proper definition as to going shoot straight forward. What is the term koi? The term, it's mispronounced. It's actually koi, right? One of the key reasons why it's koi, it's because that's how it was, and the way it's been written, the koi, it's because of it's a mispronounce. I mean, it has been especially by scholars of your 19th century or your 20th century, as we can say, they've misquoted the term, right? Not properly orthographed the term. The term in the past, it was orthographed by German orthographers of your past, and what they did was, the way it was written, it was KHO with an apostrophe and an I in the end. It became what? It became koi. That's how it is actually pronounced. So your scholarship of your 20th century, especially from these learning institutions, they corrupted the perception in which the term was utilized, and that's where people survive with koi, with ignorance actually, because of it came from white anthropologists and scholarship that actually promoted this way of pronouncing the term as koi instead of saying kwe. Do you understand? So one of the other way is to delve how much of damage they have done in historical narrative, that they have fed people saying that they were koi instead of saying they were kwe. And then in this regard, the term kwe, it is derived from a click base. And these click bases have used, will probably use your alveolar palatal click or your palatal click, which is your tone and your tone. So in Khamki, particularly, the term is kwe or kwe, right? Kwe, particularly, it will be a man, and kwe, it will be particularly a suffix meaning people as well. Though they use I, sometimes they use I, you understand, which is I. And then the same as what you find in Nguki as well, it will be I as people, and when you suffix it, it will be I as well. Do you understand? And then in Khuntali, it will be the same thing as well, where it will be I. You understand? And then a man would be referenced as Wa or Kwa. right? And in similar as you find in kwe, dam or kwe mana, the term man would be quip or quip. Do you understand? Some they have orthographed it with the M, others with B, which doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes sense. It doesn't matter. However, giving the codification of these terms, which is kwe, or kwe, the alveolar palatal click, it gives, when you codify, I always like to use codify because these clicks in our languages, they are codified, and then it becomes kui, right? It becomes kui. It becomes kui. It becomes kui. And then it becomes koi with the G as well, pronunciation. Now, most of the time, it survived with kwe, particularly, right? And kwe, particularly. Even with kwe as well, it is survived with that. It depends how people write an orthograph or how people say it. Do you understand? When they suffix. So the term kwe, it is a term that is derived from your ki and your tali languages, which is your Kong, the Kong language system, and even with your Ki language system, language group in per se, or dialects, if I may say. But I don't like to use our people as groups in that sense, because it's like we're mocking, it's like mocking our own society. So these are one of the key focuses that I'm trying to give people as to resolve what is Kwe, particularly. Coming to the term of koi koi as well. The same in reference as I've gave definition what is koi koi, like it is kwe kwe, right? It is a philosophy, it is a praise, it is what we say in kwe, te kom. Some they say te kom, it is te kom, it is a praise. It's how you praise stars, how you praise the moon, how you praise. Some people, they would define this as isthakazelo, isthakatha. That is about uktakaza in Zulu. You understand? Because of this is derived from our language. We praise the universe. We're praising the galaxies, the universe. Everything that is surrounding us, we praise it, even including animals. This is why our forefathers, the names that we have, we survived. They are survived in the sense that it was praise names that were given to our forefathers in terms of how they were known during the time that they were living. Now, this is a praise, kwe kwe. It is a praise to praise humanity. Like for one of the examples, I would make this analogy. Some would say, kwena khatste kwediche, all right? A person is a person because of another person. Another expression would be as well, kweje kweya ngamaka kwehu, right? A person is a person because of on the account of another person, on the account from another person. This is how you say it. Others, they say kwe ha kwe, right? Others, they say kwe ha kwesip. Other meaning people, a person of a nation. Others would say kwe ha kwesing, meaning a person of what, or person from, or person by humanity. Do you understand? These are definitions that gives what? That gives a definition of a philosophy of humanity, in a sense. That is why this was later translated into what we have as Ubuntu. Do you understand? The term of Ubuntu, it is derived actually from this terminology particularly. And that is why today it has been robbed because of white anthropology that misquoted and misplaced this as a result. So I'm not blaming them. I'm not saying, but it is because of where we are today. It's because of them. Because they destroyed and destructed and they've killed cultures. And in a sense, they're trying to revive cultures. That is why they sort of dwelled into a point that cultures that will be revived, this is their platform of trying to revive certain things regarding our cultural survivalhood, in a sense. But I'm not blaming, but I'm saying it is because of them and their forefathers in a sense. But I'm coming to this as well to give people a proper lecture as to why we use these philosophies. That's why we use these philosophies, because in the past, this was practiced in the past. You understand? Diplomatic relations that happen between Kwe and your non-Kwe, right? When I say Kwe, I don't mean to say a specific group. I mean, when I say Kwe, in a sense that I even include your Khon people, you understand? Your Khon society. I include even your Kham society. I even include your Kho society. I even include a variety of other societies all included. I want to come with specific with the Sen term as well. There's so much brainwash that white anthropology have done in order to shift people's thinking, shifting people's mind from transcending from the truth, because everything people they learn from what? From white institutions, rather having to dwell and having to seek along from indigenous communities. One of the examples are the Santa. People neither do they knew or neither did they knew or know about that the term San. It is actually an acronym that was actually designed to that was actually meant for indigenous communities in South Africa. That's why that's why it was called Southern African Native. Do you understand? Meaning at that particular time, I'm including from Angola, South Africa, Namibia, because it was one territory. Angola, Namibia, Botswana, South Africa, Lesotho, Swaziland, Zimbabwe, and Zambia, and so forth and so forth. Even Mozambique as well included. One of the biggest things that one wants to give a recognition of, the earliest anthropologists or earliest writers that they orthographed the language, the term San. Some have went and to compromise with the term Sangwa or Songwa. I've made many distinctions in my lot of debates with many professors, stating that it is impossible, entirely impossible, with the orthography that was used during those days in order to identify the palatal clicks, all these different type of click spellings or pronunciation tones in a sense. So my point was coming to the term sang, son, kwa. In the earliest form, we suffix our suffixes, they're always having clicks in general. So I went to a point where I had to conduct an evidence in a sense that what was Songkwa. Songkwa, in a sense, it was Sua, right? It is a Kham tribe actually that was in reference. So earliest of your travelers during the time when the Dutch settlers were in Aba area, which is known as the Cape today, they had they recorded, and in a sense that they couldn't record tribes properly, so they had a specific ways to orthograph certain clicks and click tones. So the Q particularly, it is from Songkwa. They used the Q, which in the past Q was the symbol of a click. That is why languages such as your Xhosa language, your Mfura or your Isimbo language, that I would say, that using the so-called Nguni, because I don't like using the term Nguni, because there's no Nguni language apart from a click language, not these languages, the dialects we have today. These are not Nguni language. This is Abembo, or this is a Mpo language, or Lala languages. Do you understand? So one of the errors, key errors that also to rectify from this as well, coming to the term, the symbols of clicks in the Xhosa language or isiXhosa, they use Q as in a form of your palatal click, which is your ah. So that is why the term became song kwa instead of song, right? But generally it is swa wa, right? Swa oi. Now the term it is derived from a tribe, a clan, a clan, which is known as Koken Suwakui, meaning your mountain people, right? So generally it would be at your mountain people, right? Because Suwa defines at. Now, the definition, in a sense, it was later cut. That was what they were known as Swakwe. You understand? The same Swakwe people that I'm talking about in this present form is the same people that are known as Amasukwini. Do you understand? These are your specific Cham people. Do you understand? Chamkwe. Do you understand? So that's why I made it very specific that these are the same people today that are survived in areas such as the Eastern Cape and so forth. Now, I'm coming to this as well to give evidence that there is no a term that is channeled to our people as essence that when you say Swangwa, our people are not Songwa or San. Many that have used definitions coming from your Kwekweguab, which is a language that is applied from your Namibian area, even from the Namakwa area as well, in the Northern Cape as well. And Kwekweguab, it's a language, actually, it's not old, as much people want to say it's old. It's not old. It's language that was used by anthropologists. It's not as old as Kwedam or Kwemana, because Kwemana and Kwedam, they are oldest language. They are much older than the language. And this dialect, they use definitions like Sa to identify a Kwe. The same person that is known as Kwe, identify as Kwe. And they went forth and say these people are known as whatever they are in terms of saying Sa. When you mention Sa, it means a forager, right? In terms of classifications that we could be drawn into in today's time, it means that these people were hobos. Do you understand? This is what the term symbolizes, because it is actually people and communities that were staying in particular areas where they classified them, because they're people who never wanted to be associated with communities, but they wanted to be free people in their own space. Do you understand? That's how they were referenced to that. And in a sense that even because some were servants and so on, but they preferred to be in their own space. This is how these specific groups of people, they were labeled. And it comes from a specific culture, not entire Kwe. That is why we want to debunk this term that there is no people called San. It's not San. It is not a Sa type. It is, if a person is a Jukwasi, it's a Jukwasi. A person is a Khun, is a Khun. A person is a Kho, is a Kho. It is like that. If you want to refer them collectively, it is Kwe. Particularly Kwe, because these are the terms that we could use. Even if I can use Kho language as well, a person is Da. Wouldn't you understand where does the term Da comes from? Do you understand? A person, right? A person of a person, which is literally a person that gives birth to a person, which is a father. Do you understand? You wouldn't even ask, why is people do? And you ask yourself, why is people do? You understand? So these are the things in context that we want to give exposure to, because people don't understand indigenous languages, because they understand a form of dialects that are today that never existed in the past. So having to debunk these type of series of these errors, trying to rectify all the errors collectively, people should understand that these terms, where are they actually originating from? So I want to dwell straightforward on the term Koi, and I mean, sorry, to the term San, that there's no Imkhamki language where a person identify himself or herself as a San or Sas or Sab, for that matter. So I just want to give information that the term is invalid. Koisang, it is a term that was coined by Lionel Schultz, which was a racist German anthropologist and a zoologist as well. A racist, somebody who does not even qualify that even today the world that we're living in, and that most of people today, they use these terms in order to identify and identify specific people, which is a total rubbish. I'm sorry to say that. He does not qualify, because he was a zoologist or an anthropologist of a sort, to say whatever he had to say, and having to relinquish this term in order to be advocated among societies. I say shame on him, because he couldn't refer people with their right definition. And it's out of ignorance that today this term is still surviving. And it's surviving amongst ignorance amongst other people, except including white people as well, having to utilize this term. There's nothing that is called son. These are principles that they utilize in order to do what? To segregate people in that sense, to segregate societies in that motion. So I'm debunking the term, saying that there are no people called Khoi and San. There is no different cases when you speak of Khanga people. Khanga people, they lived amongst the Mpondomise people. Khanga are the same group related to Kham people. They are found in Lesotho as well, right? They are found in Omo and Olo area, right? Not far from east of your Queenstown, towards going to Ngamakwe areas. The Khanga area, it's very common. Your Khusi people, they're still existing to what is east of Lesotho, even amongst areas in Natal. The same as what you have as your Khekwe or Khekwe. Do you understand? Why today, when we're dealing with the truth, people don't understand that every part that has been written historically, people don't have any views or ideology as to who are indigenous people. Because even books that have been written, books are written in an essence to do what? In essence, to always to spotify that these are San, these are Khoi. When you read David Stearman's history, make an example, they say he was a Khoi. David Stearman was not a Khoi. David Stearman, he was a Khora Noa. He was a Khora kind. Do you understand? A Kwesi. When I say Khora, a Khora Ona, I mean a Kwesi. So I want to give all these definitions that people, they are leaning to things that are not making sense. You know, when a non-Kwe has to identify a Kwe, they identify a Kwe in an appropriate way more than a white man does. Because white people, in most senses, I'm not being trying to discredit what they do, but in many senses, in many cases that we are dealing with, every definition that they bring to a book, it's always ignorant. It's out of ignorance because they are not. I'm not saying there are many white generations that even today that are amongst non-white areas that they've learned culture and so forth. Even nowadays, when you see on social media, many of their children, they learn, even when you look at TikTok for that matter, they are all into diverse cultures, but they have learned and grew up with your non-white societies in that sense. But my point here is trying to give definitions as to how your Sutus, how they referred to a Kwe. They would say Murwa or Musarwa. Meaning Murwa is that one that is what? That is rich in livestock, that keeps livestock, right? That keeps livestock as wealth. And then the one that Osaruing, the one that is running free. How come he can distinguish Murwa le Musarwa, right? Murwa le Musarwa. They are able to distinguish, but it is one kind. But that one uses Koi and San. Do you understand? He's using definitions to do what? To separate. That is why I'm saying I'm trying to debunk this perception and concept that has been actually originated from their course. My people, I trust that whatever that I have said in this regard as to what is what in South Africa and what is surviving what in our country. And people should take notice that even if you want to understand something from a point that it bothers you consciously, the only way is to travel and find answers. Answers will never be found from universities because universities are there to mislead you with certain perceptions because the theses that have been conducted by universities, they are based on not only research that they receive from communities only, but the research that they receive from writers as well, and their opinions as to who's who and as to what they have written and their own account of their experience the time that they arrived to this land and having to record a number of certain recordings from indigenous society in that sense. Dikwedu ohana re I say thank you to you people that are listening to this platform. Ayo.